Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips podcast with your host, Lindsay Wheeler. So if you guys aren't aware, I have to read the legal disclaimer because that's how lawyers roll. And basically, I'm not your lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here to give legal advice. Nothing here could be construed as legal advice, but hopefully some fun and educational information. And of course, this is a professional and a closed course, so do not try this at home. So this is my first podcast, and it's a little overwhelming, to be real, but I figure you guys need to know some information, and what's the best way of doing it? Everybody likes to listen to a podcast. So I am here to expose the legal industry. Just kidding. No, we're not doing that. But we will talk about estate planning and dying and death and probate, wills, trust, all of that fun stuff with other fun stuff such as drinking wine, snowboarding, talking about travel and going to different countries and what all that entails, and then a little bit more death and estate planning. But other than that, we're going to do some good fun stuff, and hopefully you guys will be well versed in estate planning, dying, traveling, snowboarding, and wine at the end of it. So I'm Lindsay. I am from Reno, Nevada. I do primarily estate planning. I went to law school, so you don't have to, but I'm not giving any kind of legal advice here. And we're going to talk about estate planning because I think it's super important. I enjoy talking about that, educating people on what probate is, how to avoid that probate process because it frankly sucks. With that though, I also have a life and don't want to talk about work 24/7. So I figured this is a nice place to also talk about some fun things like traveling, snowboarding, wine, packing, systems, whatever it can be. You let me know too. We can also riff on anything that you guys have questions about, but primarily I love to do that. I like to ride bikes. I like to go do stupid shit like traveling and hiking and going to different countries and checking out fun things. So you have anything about that? We can also talk about that. So the people who do know me usually probably call me a pain in the ass. Just kidding. I like to do adventurous stuff. I'm kind of spontaneous that way. I travel quite a bit, so they'd probably maybe describe me as adventurous, out there, outgoing, entrepreneurial, kind of your hype man. You want to get things done, I will hype you up. We will make that happen. So I enjoy doing that. I like people following their own passions and doing what they want to do and kind of just living life, because honestly, this life is short and we shouldn't be stuck behind a desk 24/7 and working for the man. So let's live a life and make that happen in a reasonable and responsible way, if you will. So how did I get to where I am today? First off, I don't play well with others. This is why I have my own business. I have had probably every job you can imagine. I have ADHD as well, like severe, so that doesn't help things on some levels, but also is a superpower in others. I have literally had every job, and I've worked multiple jobs multiple times. When I went to law school, I worked 63 hours a week while going to law school, which is frankly kind of unheard of. I have had, like I said, every job. I've worked at a dry cleaners. I've cleaned houses. I've worked at PetSmart. That was a traumatizing job. That was super traumatizing. Poor little animals. I've worked as a nanny. I've worked as a legal assistant. I've worked, God, what haven't I done? I've worked at a coffee shop. I liked my coffee shop jobs, actually. Those were always fun and mellow. While going to school, I have an undergrad in international business with minor in marketing and sales. I have an MBA. I have a law degree. So I do like to study, actually taking a French class right now, which is really traumatizing because languages suck for me, not good at those. But also, I just got out of law school. Actually, so I went to law school. The reason why I went to law school is because my dad's English, so I have that kind of background of being always traveling, always in different countries. And I was like, oh, business is a good degree because that's a functional degree, if you will. Like I probably should have been a history major. I would have had a way better GPA and probably more enjoyable time because I frankly suck at math. My joke is I don't math good, I read good. That is a joke. So I decided, okay, I'm going to get a real good degree. I'm going to go and do international business. That'll give me, I'm going to do marketing overseas. I'm going to work for a cool firm. We're going to do awesome ad campaigns for international companies. And during that time, the economy crashed. So that didn't happen. So I thought, well, what are the constants in life? Well, people commit crimes and people get sick. All of my friends went to medical school. I probably should have went to medical school. But again, I suck at math. So I ended up going to law school instead because I read good. And with that, I worked very hard. Law school is not necessarily difficult, it's just a lot of work. So with that, I was already working 63 hours a week, making it happen and going to law school, and got out and was a law clerk for a judge, a district court judge, which was awesome. You typically, that is a year contract. We ended up getting a big, high-profile death penalty case, and so I begged the judge to keep me for another year so we could work on that. I used to do criminal work as well for an attorney, and so I really love and enjoy that. I kind of miss that, frankly, quite a bit. Yeah, I miss that a lot. I miss crime scene photos a lot. So my formative years were doing post-conviction work. So if you don't know what post-conviction work is, that is basically you have been convicted of a crime, you're in prison, and you're saying that, hey, I shouldn't be here, or I shouldn't be here as long as I am because my lawyer sucked. My lawyer did not do a good job, and I'm here basically against my will because my lawyer did not do a proper job for me. So we look at that, we look at the case, we interview people, we see what should have been done, get witnesses that should have maybe testified or got in there or what have you, and present that to the judge and say, hey, somebody basically fucked up. This guy shouldn't be in prison, or this gal shouldn't be in prison for as long as they are or at all. So basically my formative years in lawyering many, many moons ago was basically looking at crappy lawyering. So I frankly hate lawyers more than most people, just from that basis. And so I did that work for a long time. It has a constitutional element to it, which I do miss that as well. And I do miss the criminal aspect of it just because it's entertaining, it's fun. Any of us who like to sit and watch, serial killer dramas on podcasts on TV or, on podcasts or radios know how entertaining and fucked up it can be. And it's just the human condition. My favorite place in the entire town is the evidence locker in the basement of the courthouse, because that just shows how uncivilized we actually really are. Super fascinating stuff on the human condition. So worked for a judge, did clerking for him, and then from there I was like, oh, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna do all these things, I'm gonna be the super lawyer. Yeah, apparently with my ADHD I test poorly and kind of suck at that, so I ended up not passing the bar after 5 tries. So what did I do instead? Well, I said I still like legal stuff. I like helping things. I like helping people navigate that. So I basically opened my own business doing estate planning and legal document prep for people. It's a licensed document prep service. We just have to fall under that parameters, and I can't give legal advice and I can't represent, which I actually prefer that because I don't want to tell you what to do. This is your life. It's not my life. I don't like a lawyer telling me what I should and shouldn't do. I want you to be educated. I want to educate you, and I want you to understand what your life is, what your situation is. I don't need to be telling you that. I want you to tell me that, and then I can give you the education and the ability for you to make decisions for you on your life, and then we do the documents accordingly. So I actually prefer that. Even if I was a licensed attorney, I wouldn't give legal advice because I think it's arrogant, frankly. I can give you the options. I can tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but it's your life. You tell me. I'm your advocate. I'm the person helping you, not the other way around. And so that's kind of what I do. That's my business. Obviously, I'm a lot more affordable for people to get their documents in place because a lot of times the legal field is geared toward rich people. Let's be real. And I don't like that either. So after I worked at the district court, I went over to the legislature. I worked as a legislative committee secretary for the judicial committee and worked there. And that was an interesting experience. When they did the exit interview, they asked me, well, what job would you like here at the legislature if you came back? And I just wrote senator. So that was kind of fun. So that's a little bit about my personality and what I do. And then from there, I went to the Attorney General's office, and that was a shit show. Cool people over there, except for they weren't. And I ended up actually suing them on an ADA claim for an injury I had with a snowboarding accident. And we'll talk about that in an episode. And yeah, I won that. And then after that, I was like, I will never be spoken to like this ever again by anybody. And that's why I pretty much went full time with my business and my job, helping people navigate the legal system and getting their legal documents in place without having to hire a very expensive and usually condescending and arrogant attorney to do that for them. And then also doing this, just educating people, letting people know what's going on out there in the world and that the legal system is geared for everybody. It should be. There should be no barriers for people to access justice, which obviously I know that that's a hot button and that is an issue, which is a big soapbox for me. I want people to be able to access the legal system and to be educated and not have to have money barriers or education barriers out there. So it's a big deal for me, especially with people in the minority communities who are definitely disenfranchised on that access. So that's kind of a little bit about me in a nutshell. I probably rambled a little bit too long, but just wanted you guys to know a little bit about how I got to where I am. So after the AG's office, when I was like, I will never be spoken to like this ever fucking again, I decided to go full-time with my business, which is High Sierra Legal. That is my Nevada-centric business of getting people set up with their documents. And then with that, I ended up starting recently this last year, Your Estate Plan Online. And basically, I want people to have the accessibility to these documents and to these legal avenues, if you will, easily and without that barrier and that cost barrier, particularly again for people who are disenfranchised, our minority communities, people who aren't really thought of or afterthought, and making sure that they're having that accessibility to these services. I primarily like to do estate planning these days. I did some, divorce, custody stuff, and no more. God, no more, please. For the love of God, just raise your fucking kids. And I don't care if little Jimmy is 5 minutes late being picked up from daycare. Like literally, that's what you're dealing with. Go raise your kids, everyone. I'm a little jaded about that, as most family law practitioners are who work in the family law or do any of that. It's a nightmare. You basically literally get paid to rip people's lives apart. And I don't want to do that. So I focus primarily on estate planning, and how I got there is starting my business, running that, and seeing a real need. I have a very close friend whose father passed away, and how that probate process went for her was a nightmare. She literally has PTSD from it. Like she's ruined from that experience with having to hire a lawyer who was frankly an asshole to her. He was awful. He was super awful to her, like made her feel like that something was wrong, that she was doing something wrong, that she was a criminal. It's like her father just died. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, that's what I want to avoid for people. And that's why I do the estate planning, because it makes life so much easier for people. And I really like focusing on that, and I make it affordable for people. Like, I'm probably a quarter or third of what most attorneys in town are charging, and I even raised my rates this year. Like, I want this to be accessible for everybody, that people shouldn't be priced out. Like, it's, I've had clients come to me and they're like, I make $10 an hour. What am I supposed to do? Lose my kid because I can't afford a $10,000 lawyer to fight for custody? Like, that's not right to me. And I feel like there should be more avenues for people, because let's be real, money's tight for everyone. And they don't really have an extra 2, 5, 10 grand to access the court system. So I then started High Sierra Legal to do that, to make that affordable. Like I said, I raised my rates this year, and they're still even more affordable. And that's for like the whole hand-holding experience with getting your estate plan in place. And then again, I opened that second kind of branch, if you will, or different brand of Your Estate Plan Online, which makes it even more affordable. We have a do-it-yourself option, so I can help walk you through with all the templates, videos, trainings to make sure that you can get your estate plan in place, which is great. And I help you, I handhold you a little bit on that, but mainly it's a do-it-yourself option. Those are usually for us millennials and Gen Zers and like savvy professionals who are like, I don't have time to go to a lawyer's office. I can do this on my own. I can navigate it with a video and plug and chug, because let's be honest, the legal secret is that's what we all do. We plug and chug. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel. Come on. We basically copy and paste, and you guys don't see it, but on the back end, if you're in a judge's office or anything like that, where you're seeing multiple pleadings come through, names are wrong on all the time, because a secretary, an attorney, a paralegal didn't copy and paste right. Happens all the time, but you guys don't see that. You think it's some like crazy thing. No, not at all. Not at all. It's literally copy, cut, and paste. So, and there's a reason for that. We want forms to be, statutorily set. We want to not reinvent the wheel. We want things to be systematic and formulaic, so we can all look at that and be on the same page. It makes it a lot easier. So with that, I have a do-it-yourself option that's super, super affordable. It's just a flat rate of $250. Makes it easy. You get all the same documents that you would get with a full service concierge with an attorney. And I know this because I have looked at $10,000 trusts, and they're literally the same thing. So All it is avoiding probate and how that gets set up for you. And then with that, we have a do it for you option as well. And that's even more affordable. That's only $497. We have a split option if you guys want that. So I try to make this like as easy and affordable and accessible for everybody. So I have the different levels. Basically, I have the high SEER legal, which is more Nevada centric. That's a complete hand holding that we do for you. Then we have the do it yourself option. And then we have the do it for you, which basically we have you fill out a questionnaire. We do all the information for you, get all the documents, and then we email them for you so you can print, sign, notarize, and get your estate plan set up as easy as possible. So a little bit about my business. Also, I love entrepreneurship. You know, when I was in school, I went to, I had an international business degree. I had all these grand ideas, and I just don't play well with others. Let's be real. And I don't like how corporations run things. I don't like the rigidity. I don't like corporatism, frankly, at all. I think corporations need to get out of a lot of things on a lot of levels. That's a whole different episode we can talk about on that. I can wear my tinfoil hat and we can talk about conspiracy theories. It'll be amazing. Just kidding. I'm not one of those people. Slightly a little bit though. Basically, it's just like, I want people to be empowered. I want people to do their own thing. I don't want to ever have to wake up and go, God, I fucking hate my life. This sucks. I don't want to go work for this guy. I don't want to work for this corporation. My manager sucks. Like my experience at the AG's office with that supervisor, like she wasn't even anything. And she was the most condescending, rude ass person I have ever dealt with in my entire life. And if we can all avoid having to work or deal with those people, let's do that. I will hype the shit out of you. I will help you do it. I will give you that confidence to do it. I see major potential in anybody that you can do that if you just want to. Don't get me wrong. It is a shit ton of work. It is a obscene amount of work. I sat at my desk for 11 hours yesterday just doing back end stuff. So it's a lot of work and it's not for everybody, but if you want that life, I will definitely hype you up and help you have that life happen for you. So it's a little bit about what I like to do and how I want everybody to be fulfilled and enjoy their lives. So for those of you who don't know yet, I am a huge wine connoisseur and slightly snobbish as well. In today's episode, we are having a demi bottle of The Prisoner that I got at Costco in like a little 4-pack. I'm not a huge Napa fan. Let's be real about that. I say let's be real a lot. That's too much. I don't need to say this be real because it is real. I'm on a fucking podcast. Let's be real. Anywho, so I have The Prisoner here. This is a 2019. It's the red wine of theirs. It's good. It's good. The Prisoner is a solid wine that if you get it, it's going to be consistent. It's going to be good. It's not going to be total garbage. It's a nice, consistent wine. Do I pick it all the time? No. Like I said, I'm not really partial to California wines or to Napa wines. There are some really great wines out there, don't get me wrong, but I'm usually partial to the European wines because I'm a European snob, okay? So this one is, it's nice actually. It's got some nice cherry notes in there. Yeah, a little vanilla on that oak and beautiful ruby color going on here. It's a nice, like I said, it's a nice solid wine. I picked this today because we were recording and I was like, what is a good solid ass wine that I can drink doing this? And this is what I picked. Like I said, I normally like those Bordeaux blends, but The Prisoner, like I said, is a good solid selection. So if you're over at the store and you want a nice mid-range bottle, especially for a gift or somebody who likes wine, they're not going to be sad if you got them this. As a side note, I'm not sponsored by any wineries or vineyards or if you will, but if anybody would like to sponsor me, I will fucking take your wine all day long. So call me. Just kidding. Or not kidding. Anywho, so enjoy your beverage or your beverage of choice. Mine today is The Prisoner 2019 red wine generic blend. So I'm going to transition a little bit here, or maybe digress about me, what I like to do, what do I enjoy, and this is where this podcast comes in of like, not only is it about estate planning and law, which is boring, like good, let's be real, it's fucking boring as shit, but other fun stuff like wine and travel and snowboarding and bikes and all of the fun things. My cat, who's an asshole right now, get out of there. Talking about that. So I love to snowboard. I pretty much live for the snow. I travel for snow. In fact, I'm going to Italy to go snowboarding because we are having kind of a meh winter this year. Last year was epic. What an epic year. This year is meh. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Italy because hopefully the Dolomites have some more snow. And it's way cheaper. It's almost cheaper than doing a whole trip here, which is ridiculous. So I live in the Tahoe area. We have phenomenal resorts here, don't get me wrong. We had the Olympics here at Squaw/Palisades. I guess we can't call it Squaw anymore. They rebranded to the Palisades. So we had the Olympics here. So we do have really nice, great resorts here. I live for the snow. I love it. I like being outside. I do not like the summer. And the joke for that is because little piggy doesn't sweat. I do not process heat well. I don't like the heat. I get migraines usually. I overheat pretty easily. So I live for the snow. And the cat is wanting to be in this episode as well, apparently. Get out of here. So I live for the snow. I travel for the snow. I snowboard. It just makes me feel better. I like to be outside. I like to be in the snow. It's pretty. It's clean. It's organized. As my ADD and my Virgo-ness comes into play. It's just a nice time to be out. You're not hot. You can layer. It's beautiful out. You're getting exercised. You're hanging out. It's just, I don't know. It's my happy place. I just love it. I've always loved it. I started snowboarding when I was 15. My friends all were skiers and wanted me to ski. I got on a pair of skis for literally about 30 seconds and was like, nope, put me on a board. Big learning curve back in the day. The equipment sucked. Let's be honest about that. The equipment sucked so hard back in the day. It was like jibber boots. I'm surprised none of us broke all our ankles every 10 minutes. Heavy boards. My one board was I called it a coffee table. It was a Palmer and it was literally a fucking coffee table. It was the heaviest goddamn board I've ever owned in my entire life. Lord, I wish we had the equipment we had now back then. It would have been amazing. I probably would have been a pro rider because literally if you were a woman and you could get down the hill, you had a sponsorship. That's how it worked. So I like to snowboard. I like to be outside. It just makes me happy. Like it gives me clarity. It's just nice. That crisp mountain air is just amazing. I do a lot of work on the chairlifts as well. And all my clients know that if there's a powder day, do not call me before 4 p.m. because nobody's going to respond to you until at least after 4 p.m. because I'm going to be on the hill. Also, I work a lot on the weekends because nobody wants to ski on the weekends. It is a shit show of people and kids and tourists and weekend warriors up there, and it's a nightmare. So I've been to a lot of places. I like to ski in a lot of places. I like Canada. I like Washington. I like Andorra. If anybody knows what Andorra is, drop a comment about how awesome Andorra is. That is a little principality between Spain and France. I sound so bougie right now. I'm like, oh, let me ski Andorra, which is super fun. It is a mega resort for like $35. It's unreal, the prices there. And it is literally the entire pretty much country is a ski resort. So it's got that going for it. Whistler Blackcomb is amazing as well. Massive and huge, although Vail Corp bought it and pretty much has ruined anything that Vail Corp touches. Yeah, that's a whole other episode. Anywho, so I'm going to go to the Dolomites in 2 weeks. We're going to check that out and see how Italian skiing is. Also, I've skied in Japan. Japan skiing is phenomenal. It's a top 5 powder run I've ever taken in my life. It is just epic. It is so epic. Japan, all of Japan is epic. That'll be a whole other episode too about how epic Japan is. So that is my plan right now. I also like to ride bikes. I like to downhill. I just bought a new bike this last year that I need to desperately keep riding. I need to ride it more. I've just been focusing on business stuff. So I like riding bikes. I like to do downhill stuff. I like single trail. I used to race BMX. I used to be pretty okay at BMX. In fact, I was on Team and Sponsored, which was fun. I have a bike for every occasion. BMX, road, just for training. I don't like to road bike that much. Hardtail, cruiser, dirt jumper, full downhill, and kind of an all-purpose bike. I have all the bikes, all of them. I like to hike. I like to go travel. I could do stupid shit. Like I said, I did Nepal last year. We did base camp. My friend almost died. We'll put her on when she's in town. That'll be a fun episode. And booked Peru this summer to do Machu Picchu because I need to do these hikes before these knees completely crap out on me because I play a lot of soccer. I used to play a lot of soccer well into my adulthood. We play in the fun league, and soccer is always entertaining and fun to do. And I kind of miss everybody on that. Great community. Race dirt bikes. Did that on top of it. So I have a lot of interest, a lot of sports. I'm now transitioning into my bougie lady era, and I love going to the Pilates. I like Pilates a lot. I'm that person now. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. That's why. And yeah, I've had a lot of injuries as well. We can definitely talk about injuries and why estate planning is important when you get a lot of injuries and do stupid shit, and how I did not have my estate plan when I had a severe injury and was in the ICU. Yeah, good times. Other than that, that's why I like doing that. I love being outside. Summertime, I like going to the lake with my friends, I like doing the little jet ski stuff, but summer's usually not my thing. I'm usually covered head to toe. I look like a vampire at the beach. It's a kid's book that's coming out soon I'm going to do as well, called Vampire's Day at the Beach. And that's pretty much me. I wear black, I like death, and I don't like the sun. So, in a nutshell, my life. So I like to be active because I know it's important for my health. I know it's important for my mental health too, as well, emotional health and stability, which sometimes can be questionable. But it's important to stay active and to stay healthy. Like my dad is in his mid 70s and can out hike all of us. I'm not gonna lie on that. My dad is insane. And he's a skinny vegetarian Englishman who hikes 5-6 days or miles a day. In the coast of England. He used to run 8 miles and he's still super fit, super healthy, super together, which I want to be that way as well. And I think that in America, we're conditioned that we're going to work, and then we're going to retire and have this grand life after we've retired and worked for 40 years. That's not the reality. And I know that reality because I work in that reality. I see people who are like, oh, my wife and I were going to retire. We were going to travel the world and she got sick and died. I've now have a medical condition and I can't do these things. You're not going to be hiking Nepal or Machu Picchu when you're in your 70s. I mean, you might, but the reality of it is you probably aren't. Traveling around and hiking, and even me, I'm getting a little bit older and I'm like, damn, this backpack's heavy, Experience life now. You can always work behind a desk or wherever when you're in your 70s, but you're not doing these cool adventures usually at that time. It's this kind of myth that we're going to toil and we're going to have this amazing retirement. Most people retire and honestly within the next year get sick, get cancer, and die. Like that is the statistics of it. And that is a brutal reality for everybody's life. Because then you sit there in your deathbed and being like, oh, fuck, I didn't do anything. I worked for this corporation my whole life and I got fuck all for it. I didn't spend enough time with my kids. I didn't spend enough time with my family or my friends or my loved ones. Like, we should all be living our lives. And I really like the European blend of that is that, we work not to live, but we live to work. That's the American way. We live to work as an American thing and constantly hustling in this hustle culture and all these things. And it's like, oh my God, what is our life worth at this point? That's not it, and I do appreciate the European ethos about that of, hey, we're gonna have a nice work-life balance. We're gonna go experience things. We're gonna have time off. And I know it's difficult in this culture and the society in this country to have that time off. We're obviously not given it. You have to work 10 years before you even get 3 weeks off. Or in Europe, it's like mandatory, 5 weeks minimum for a new job. Hopefully things will change, and that's where I appreciate that entrepreneurship is that you're able to make that schedule. And don't get me wrong, I do work when I'm on vacation, and I'll be over in Europe for 2 or 3 months, but I am working still at that time. But I have the ability to do that. I would rather work in a coffee shop in Barcelona than sit there and work for the man. And I understand that this isn't always an option for people, but we still do have that optionality. It's going to take a lot of work on the front end. It's going to take a lot of hustling, but you can make it happen for yourself if you want to. You just got to have that motivation and that drive to make it happen. And yeah, so staying active, staying fit, staying, whether it's you walk around the block with your spouse or your loved one or your friends every day, just get moving, just get your body moving. We have enough difficulty in this country with our food supply and our adulterated everything here that makes it difficult. So you're going to have to help yourself as much as you can and stay as active as you can and keep on keeping on. So kind of just a recap of why we're doing this podcast, why I'm here, why I'm talking to you, why you might want to listen to this, of me rambling on about inconsequential wine discussions or snowboarding or travel. But basically it's about estate planning. This last year, trying to get more involved on my socials and looking at everything, and it's like, good Christ, it is the same lawyery bullshit everywhere. It's the same pose, the arms crossed, and let's talk down to you about estate planning or law or the legal field. The same questions, the same bullshit, the same format. Literally, we're all using the same format. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk about the same minutia bullshit that most attorneys who do estate planning or legal work do. Let's have some fun about this. Let's educate people who are real. I have people that are like, I'm not your ideal client. I'm like, holy shit, you absolutely are. You have a house, you have a kid, you have a business. You are 100% my ideal client. The fact that these people don't understand that or know that they're my ideal client is why I'm here, basically, of educating normal people, the real people who don't have these silver spoon financial advisors and lawyers in their back pocket, or daddy's attorney taught me this when I was 7. Like, the rest of us need to know this. How to avoid probate for your heirs. Basically, you're saving your loved ones $26,000 to $50,000 that they could have had by a little bit of pre-planning. You have underage children. I don't mean to scare you, but for the love of God, you should have an estate plan in place. You should have life insurance if you have underage children automatically. That is a huge deal. We can get into more of that, of why that is and why that's scary and why that needs to be put in place, because it is a deal. It is a deal. And we don't want to think bad things are going to happen to us, but bad things happen in life. Like, that's just the nature of life. We're little meat puppets that are pretty fragile and vulnerable. And I know this just from criminal law. We're pretty fragile little organisms running around. So just some pre-planning. You get car insurance. You get the safety briefing on an airplane. Why wouldn't you get that for your estate plan and for your life? Nobody wants to talk about death, and we're going to talk about death a lot because I'm super comfortable with it. I deal with it on a lot, every day. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about dying, but it is the one constant that's going to happen to us. We are going to die. So let's pre-plan that. Let's make sure that is as easy as possible for ourselves and our loved ones to handle, because it is literally going to happen. Unless you're crazy Elon Musk or some of these biohackers that can come up with some cool shit, let me know. But until then, it is going to happen. It is the most inevitable thing that will happen to you. So why wouldn't we plan for that? Makes sense, right? Yeah, let's make that happen. So we can have discussions about it. We can take that stigma away from it. It's not a scary thing. It's a very natural process that happens. And I know it's difficult and it's emotional and it does suck. And I've been through it, and it is awful and emotional and horrible, but you can still make it okay. And you can make it a nice thing and a beautiful thing to transition or help people transition. And we're going to talk about that, how to make that as cost efficient and as easy as possible for everybody. Just a little bit of pre-planning, a little bit of education, and then bammer, you can go jump out of airplanes and go dive with sharks because you got all your shit in order. So that's kind of why I'm here and what I'm kind of passionate about. Also making sure that people are educated in a fun way, not being talked down and listening to this drawl on thing that don't get me wrong, all my videos are that way too, because we have to kind of educate that way, but I think there's a better way to do it, and that's why I'm here. So thank you for being here, listening to my ramblings and my life story. And if you like this, please subscribe. Let your friends know. That'd be great. Anywhere that you subscribe to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, or any other place. Also, this will be on YouTube, so you can hang out there and see the video and me looking like a jackass, which is also super fun. And let me know what wine you want me to drink. I like that. I love other suggestions. Let me know. You got some weird random wines. I had some wine in Turkey and it was phenomenal. So weird shit like that, I love it. You want to talk about different topics. You have questions about estate planning. You have topics about traveling. You want to know how to travel for 2 months in one backpack? Got you on that. Anything that you guys have interest in, please let me know. Also, I'll have all this in the show notes so you guys can have all the links, education, and avenues to find this information out as well for yourselves, whether that's estate planning, travel, wine, snowboarding, all of that. So thank you for being here, and I really appreciate you listening. And again, like, subscribe, whatever the TikTok hashtags of those kids are doing. Just kidding. And we'll get you a next episode, and let me know what you guys like to hear. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine.